So did we call it or not? Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster is real. It was revealed at the State of Play today, subtitled Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. No longer do we have to speculate or rely on leaks or rumors. The game is real and it is here. And with its reveal, we have tons to talk about, including that of all the improved features from the remaster, very familiar voices you may have heard in other Final Fantasy games, and the team responsible for giving us this remaster. So of course, if you are new to the channel, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to keep up to date with anything JRPG or gaming related in the future. And with that, let's get into it. Now, if you already weren't aware or weren't paying attention to the beginning of the trailer, the team responsible for giving us this remaster is of course Creative Studio 3. The team responsible for developing Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XVI, and it looks like one of their side projects that they were working on, the two smaller projects that Yoshi P had teased around the time Dawn Trail was releasing, one of those of course being the port of Fantasian Neo Dimension, and now the other one we know was Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. Definitely no doubt about it, Creative Studio 3 has been keeping themselves very busy. Additionally, with that, we do have more information from the PlayStation blog going over information that you should know going into this remaster. It reads here, quote, "The development team has included 2 different versions of the game so that you can enjoy the title in that way that best suits you. First, we have the enhanced version, which adds fully voiced dialogue, an optimized and updated UI, graphical improvements, and a number of other quality of life features, including the more accessible Squire difficulty setting that makes the enhanced version an excellent starting point for first-time players. Those who wish to enjoy Final Fantasy Tactics as they remember it are welcome to play the classic version, which unites the graphics and gameplay of the original 1997 version with the renowned War of the Lions translation for a unique way to experience this beloved title. This version stays true to the original in almost every aspect, but includes some handy features such as autosave. I think that these 2 versions will provide the best experience for both veteran players and those who have not had the chance to give Final Fantasy Tactics a try, and both are included in the Ivalice Chronicles. And there you have it. I think one of the most important things to take away from what they've said here is the fact that even though it is a remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics, you can still experience Final Fantasy Tactics as it was originally in 1997. And I think this is a very smart choice. With any remaster really, I think there should be some type of mode where you can kind of just look at how the game once was or play in its original format. You do see this in games that get remastered when you can switch from original graphics to remastered. It's just a feature I really appreciate in games, and I'm glad to see it being implemented here. We also get a clear look at the remastered UI, and I have to say, I really like the look. Although the original wasn't bad and it did do its job, I think this just does so much more. It gives you a lot more information at once, which some people may find overwhelming. I could definitely see that, but I really dig how it looks here, especially because it just gives you so much more information. You can see the enemy's health here, you can see all their stats and your stats. And again, while the original does do that, like this doesn't really add anything like new. I just really like the way they updated the UI here, and I gotta be honest, I might like it a lot more than the original, which is crazy to say. And moreover, the inclusion of a more accessible difficulty in the Squire difficulty I think is much needed, because as much as I love Final Fantasy Tactics and even War of the Lions, those games can get extremely hard at times, even on the normal difficulty, and grinding in those games can be even more, I don't want to say tedious, but just it can take a long time, especially just starting out, or if this was, say for instance, your first tactics game when getting into the original, you'd realize very quickly that it is a grind fest. And while it can be fun, it is still a grind fest nonetheless. And not only that, but there can be fights in that game, boss fights, and even random encounters that can just be very challenging. So again, I think just having a more accessible difficulty, this Squire difficulty, is very much needed, especially for those who are just getting into tactics games for the first time, maybe not familiar with these types of games. It really doesn't hurt to include this, and honestly, I very much welcome it. Remember how I said that this game was being remastered by none other than Creative Studio 3? Well, we not only have some familiar voices from their games, but we also know who is directing this game. First off, you may hear some very recognizable voices, and one of those voices is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Starr, who, if you don't know, played Clive Rossfield, the protagonist in Final Fantasy XVI. And not only Ben Starr, but we also have Stuart Clark, who played Dion Lesage in Final Fantasy XVI as well. Both actors you can clearly hear in the trailer, and I'm honestly very happy to see that they've returned for Tactics. And it's honestly great to see that Creative Studio 3 is putting their talent to work, their talent that they had for their game on FF16 coming back for this game. And realistically speaking, it just makes so much sense that it would be Creative Studio 3 working on this remaster, seeing as how well versed they are in the more traditional classic vibes of Final Fantasy. I mean, that team is very passionate about, you know, Final Fantasy 1 through 5, and of course Final Fantasy Tactics. You know, a lot of people on that team have stressed how much they'd love to work on Tactics, and I'm glad to see that coming to fruition. And it makes me suspicious as well, because if you have Ben Starr in Final Fantasy Tactics, would that also mean that we could be getting a Clive Rossfield crossover like we did with Cloud Strife? If you weren't already aware, if you haven't played the original Tactics, or I think it was the War of the Lions version, Cloud Strife is just a character that just shows up. He just crosses over into this world, and you can actually just play him as a character. He has his own movesets. So it would actually be a huge missed opportunity if we didn't get Clive Rossfield, who honestly fits a lot more given the setting of Final Fantasy 16, to give him his own crossover, give him his own movesets as well. Probably the best opportunity to do that, because I mean, they are Creative Studio 3. They could just do that, it's their character, and they're also in charge of Final Fantasy Tactics, so why not? Now, the director of Final Fantasy Tactics is someone that you probably are very familiar with, and that's Kazutoyo Maehiro, who wrote Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. He was also the lead writer of Final Fantasy XVI, and now he is directing Final Fantasy Tactics The Ivalice Chronicles. Obviously, you know, Yoshi P isn't going to be the one who is directing this, obviously, because he has Final Fantasy XIV to worry about. So of course, why not get one of the OGs of Creative Studio 3, Kazutoyo Maehiro, to take up this project? And it makes sense given his portfolio of very similar feeling projects like Final Fantasy Tactics. A lot of the stories and worlds that he's been in charge of have been very politically charged, so many betrayals, so much bloodshed, very dark stories, but they're all so very equally interesting as they are grounded. And I'm not really surprised that he took up Final Fantasy Tactics. And honestly, with the reveal of Final Fantasy Tactics The Ivalice Chronicles, that is just the second to last game down of the list of the Nvidia leak listings that came out in 2021. Now it's just Final Fantasy IX Remake, and honestly, I think it is just a matter of time until we see it. Could we see it as early as this year on Final Fantasy IX's 25th anniversary come July 7th? Honestly, with so many industry insiders, so many leaks and rumors that we've seen throughout the years, there's just no way that the project wasn't at least real and in development at one point in time. Whether it's still a project or whether it got cancelled has yet to be seen. But if you ask me, if they're making such a big deal out of its anniversary and they didn't celebrate anything for Final Fantasy VIII, I just really do believe that Final Fantasy IX Remake is still something that is coming. We'll just have to wait and see. Guys, this is only the beginning, and we're probably going to be getting a lot more news on this remaster in the coming weeks and months ahead. And man, I am just so ready for it, and I know you guys are too. Anyways, tell me how you guys guys feel about this reveal down below. Are you excited for Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles? Maybe it gives you even more hope now that Final Fantasy IX Remake is only a matter of time. Tell me how you feel about all of this and more down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.